Hey everyone, Bob the Canadian here. So I have an endgame analysis for you with this one because this is towards the end of the fourth turn, and the first four turns were fairly standard sprinting fellowship and sprinting military. So we tune in. I am the shadow player against Phlox, who is the Free People's player. So they have just been revealed in Osgiliath. So this is, fourth turn. He still has 3 dice left, and he's already 8 steps of the way towards Mordor, has Gandalf the White in play. So it's going pretty well. Military for me is going okay. I have Lorien under siege with a decent army, Shadows of the Misty Mountains. So it's a decent sized army, and he didn't manage to reinforce Lorien, but he did manage to reinforce Woodland Realm quite a bit. It's a very strong Woodland Realm, but Erebor is also fairly weak and besieged anyway. And I have Corsairs in hand. I got to play many kings, so I have hope. But I don't know, if I had to give one player an edge, I think I would give it to the Free People's player right here. So anyway, this is what I have in hand: fighting Uruk-hai, Corsairs, Morgul Wound, monsters, breaking the Fellowship. Okay, so we are just resolving Hunt Resolution here. So he takes 2 randoms, and it's both the Hobbits. So he's up to 2 corruption now. So playing Breaking was tempting here for sure. But he just, there's only been 3 tiles out of the bag. He only got hit once before this, and it was a 3 for Gandalf. So the hunt pool has 2 3s and a 2, which would be great, but the rest of them are kind of mediocre. These ones are just putting Boromir in Gondor, which is a good corruption value, but it's not great. And then the zeros would be okay, and the eyes obviously are worthless. So I don't end up playing it. I could also play Morgul Wound here, but again, I have hopes for blowing up Erebor before Dane shows up, and hopes for playing Corsairs and blowing up Dol Amroth before Círdan's or Imrahil shows up. And the elves are at war, so anyway, I decide to carry on with military sprinting. So I bring my armies closer to Umbar here, and my army's closer to East Rune. He hides with the character die, which I didn't appreciate the significance of it at first, because I was expecting him to use one of these other 2 dice to hide at first, and then use the character die to move again. And then if he got missed or didn't get revealed, which there's a decent chance of, he could use a ring to move again and get to Mordor this turn. And I don't have Crow Weather, but he doesn't know that, of course. And I also might have, Nazgul Search, Nazgul Strike, or what do you call it? One of the tile drawing cards, and that might reveal him as well, and that would also stop him from getting to Mordor. So anyway, I'm carrying on my rushing military plan. He plays Mithril Coat, which I find a little interesting to play now, because that's vulnerable to Worn with Sore and Toil, and it's vulnerable to Nazgul Strike before you get to Mordor. But at the same time, you have a Palantir, you have a full hand that you don't want to chuck. That's not an unreasonable choice anyway. Okay, so I'm attacking Dol Amroth here. I'm playing a strategy card. I think it's Rage of the Dunlendings. Yeah, and he has an advantageous position for it. So that feels bad. I could take 2 hits so that I hit on 6s and 5s, but at the same time, it's kind of, let's just hope I roll 6s, and preserve these units in case this goes poorly. And I roll 2, 1, 2, and 2, so I'm very glad that I didn't take the hits. It's actually very lucky for me in hindsight that he played advantageous position, because if he hadn't, I would have taken 2 hits, and then I'd be very, very upset that I rolled no hits on 4 and above. He's kind enough to not get any hits back anyway, so I press because, want to preferably blow this up before, again, Círdan or Imrahil shows up. So Desperate Battle into another advantageous position, so that's very sad for me. I proceed to roll, well, it would have been 1 hit without it, so 0 hits with the advantageous position plate, and he gets 3. I didn't realize it's 3 at first, because I forgot about Desperate Battle applying to his roll as well. So I was going to press and play Onslaught, and, because I really want to finish this off right now. But then he points out that I should have lost more units. So I decide, you know what, I guess I'm just going to have to do this the slow way. I'm going to have to bring the Witch King down and hope I win. Anyway, so he attacks Dale from Woodland Realm. He gets a hit. I get 1 hit back. That's nice. Good job, work. And he reclaims it with 1 elf there. Anyway. So I thought about trying to run around that elf and get Woodland Realm before he gets back, or attacking it, but I was concerned that he'd have scouts, and I don't have Swarm of Bats, so then I'd be just making his life easier, So I decided I might as well just bring this army into the party anyway, because that's something I know for sure I want done. So I get my 1 hit. He does not get a hit. Okay, so I pick up Durin's Bane. Very happy to see it, since I'm still planning on blowing up Lorien and Swarm of Bats. He gets Farmir's Rangers, and there's another way. I allocate one eye because I have to. I roll 3 more eyes, which is a bummer because, again, the plan is military speed right now. It's not corruption. So, anyway. So that elf runs back to Woodland Realm, which I'm a little surprised by because he has more Elven elites to muster. But at the same time, if you are hoping Círdan's ships will show up, then it makes sense to preserve these Elven elites. Or Celeborn's Galadriel, more muster in Rivendell. Yeah, if you do overly deplete the Elven force pool, you do kind of invite Shadow to come blow something up. So I'm attacking Erebor. I think I'm using Breaking here, which is a bit of a bummer against the Fellowship when the Hobbits are gone, but at the same time, I'm really hoping to get Cruel Weather this turn too. So I forfeit 2, and I roll 1/6 against the shield wall, so that's perfect for demoralization points anyway. Okay, so I press, and I play... I guess I'm playing Onslaught here. Yeah, Onslaught. Okay, so I roll 2 6s, and he rolls no hits back. That's very kind of the dwarves. And I take 4 hits on the Onslaught, and I get 3 hits, which is overkill, so that feels good. Sadly, so I felt like I was doing better militarily, and to be fair, the armies are in position, but that was actually me getting from 0 points to 2, because I had Dale before, but he retook it, so it feels bad on turn 5 being at 0 points at the start of the turn anyway. The Fellowship moves, and is safe. That's a bummer. I pivot Nazgul, and I specifically don't put a Nazgul on the Fellowship because I want to make him think I have Cruel Weather anyway, so that I can hopefully make him move a third time. So he moves again, and he gets hit, and it's a not revealing tile, so that's good news for me. I think like a 2 or 3 would have been better, but a not revealing one to at least make him scared of Cruel Weather is nice. I attack Dol Amroth. I use a Sealder's Bane here. I kind of live to regret that because, just the corruption value for this card can be really strong sometimes. But anyway, so I get my 3 hits now. That feels good. Cycle into Phlox, so I'm very bummed about it not being Cruel Weather. And then, this is where the game gets interesting. Then he separates Strider and Legolas to Minas Tirith here. So I'm immediately concerned. Interestingly, he doesn't have Deadmen here. But he's banking on it showing up. To be fair, we're a little ways into the deck, so the odds are getting better that it shows up. A Challenge to the King, of course, is also still out there. Okay, so I have this muster. I don't know what else to do with it, but I want to threaten Palantir as the last action of the turn to hopefully make it move again. So I just, figure I might as well block any military shenanigans by mustering an Umbar there. He thinks for a bit about what to muster in Gondor, gets an elite in Pelargir in the end. And I draw a strategy card, Horde from the East. Okay, so very much to my sadness, now it's a bad thing that they didn't get revealed because he didn't move a third time, and they just get to skip on off to Mordor without being revealed into the Stronghold. So I do have 1 red tile in there, but no other red tiles or blue tiles. And still a decent chunk of normal tiles, so here we go. Okay, so I roll 1 more eye, and he rolls 3 character movement, so that's a pretty good start for the Fellowship. I felt pretty... I feel a little bit behind at this point in the game anyway. So I bring in the Mouth because, it's just probably the right choice. I was very tempted to use both my musters to make Orthanc stronger, get up to 5 elites, and just go after Helm's Deep because he has no H's this turn. But at the same time, I'm going to need at least 1 more turn, maybe 2, to get to my 10 points. So I'm kind of thinking, getting that extra die for the Mouth now it just feels smarter overall, Anyway, so now I'm chucking Power 2 Great. I chuck Phlox, and Shadow is moving. I debated chucking Morgul Wound, but since he separated Legolas and Strider, now Corruption is now it's a question. Now I feel like I might have a shot, and especially since they're still at 3 Corruption, if they get revealed by, say, an eye that they, take Boromir as a casualty to, or a 0 reveal, then I could play Morgul Wound to get 2 corruption value for it, which when they're on the Mordor track feels really strong to me. Okay, so he moves, and it's a 0 reveal. So that's exactly what I was thinking of. Actually, in the game, I didn't think of 0 reveal. I mainly just thought there's a good chance they hit an eye and lose Boromir. So I go ahead and play Morgul Wound because, might as well. Fellowship hides. Then I pivot Leadership, to get ready for attacking Lorien. They move again. It's an eye. So that's 3R, which isn't, feels okay on both ends. Like, it doesn't feel amazing. Like, we've all seen eyes that do more damage, but at the same time, it's better than them drawing, like a 1 or a 2 or another 0 reveal. Better for me, anyway. The Taglorian, I get to play Durin's Bane. That always feels good. Balrog gets 1 hit. It's okay. I roll 2 6s. He rolls 2 plus 1 from no quarter back. I press. Oh yeah, this is unimpressive on my part. I say no card, and I roll a bunch of 5s, and he rolls 2 hits back. So then I get annoyed because now I'm down to a 4-1, and I think, okay, I'd better finish this off. So now I play Desperate Battle, and then I roll 2 6s. So it's just and I give him a hit back because it makes the 4 hits. So this army went from strong enough to maybe do something Rohan to nothing now because bad luck of the dice and debatably a poor choice of not just playing Desperate Battle in the first place. But I don't know. It felt like I could probably just press and roll enough 6s. And turns out I could. And it was a mistake to bother playing Desperate Battle the second time. Oh well. Okay, so he uses a ring to hide the Fellowship. I shuffle armies along. And he plays Círdan Ships to defend Pelargir, which is a bit of a tough choice between putting an elite in Woodland Realm to make that tougher and putting the elites down here in Pelargir to make that tougher. It's tough either way. I think this does make more sense because you're like, even if they lose but weaken this army significantly, then you've weakened it significantly so that Strider and Legolas and company can go and do something. Okay, so then I use the Mouth of Sauron to attack Woodland Realm, seeing as how the reinforcements are lessened. But classically, now Crowleather shows up. And Olog High, he has Brave Stand and Purify Foes. I roll another bunch of eyes into his 2 swords. So I'm more okay with rolling lots of eyes now that corruption is more of a thing. But I'd still rather have lots of attacks and try to win this turn and hope that he doesn't, Okay, so he musters in Pelargir and Carrick. I took so long thinking here because I really want to get to 10 points this turn. So I thought about the odds of, whether I could pivot leadership here and play Grond and hopefully crack Woodland Realm. And if so, then how do I get my last point? Because fighting for Pelargir seems okay, but this army can come out and fight me back. This army going to get Edoras seems a better option to me. But then again, I could also muster up twice and try to go after Helm's Deep and then win Pelargir, or Helm's Deep and then Edoras. There's only so many targets and a lot of different combos. The problem is this army is just not that strong. It's only 6 hit points. If it was stronger, like if I'd had New Power is Rising before, or had a couple spare musters that I'd invested here, then blowing up all of Rohan with this army would feel a lot better. But anyway, I decide probably Woodland Realm and Edoras is my best bet. So I start with attacking Fords of Isen. I think about playing a card here to try to kill them. And I don't know. I was worried he had scouts because there's been no scouts so far this game. So I play no card. I roll 2 5s. So now I'm kind of wishing I'd played Deadly Strife. But anyway. And he gets 1 hit back. At least I still have 5 units. But yeah, 5 regulars isn't that scary anymore. Okay, so now I pivot leadership. So I do, put leadership on both of these spots just to threaten Pelargir and threaten Edoras at the same time to hopefully make his life a little more difficult. And now he moves companions. He moves Strider over to Edoras. This is so crazy. Oh no, he does have Dead Men now. Interesting. I missed when he picked it up. Yeah, because I was sure he had Dead Men the whole time, but he actually picked it up after he separated Strider. So that's kind of a lot more fun that way. So I don't know if this was the right call or not, but I bring this army over to West Emnet to threaten Strider, and I back this army up from Langdon so that he can't blow up my entire army with Dead Men. Because before, it was 7 units there, so if he hit it and rolled a 6, then I'm down to 2 regulars left in Dol Amroth, and this army could certainly reclaim that. So anyway, so he moves, and it's a 1R. I'm very bummed to not see an eye there. To be fair, it wasn't super likely he'd hit an eye or a red tile, but it wasn't that unlikely either. Anyway. So he loses Gimli to it, which I think makes sense. It feels bad being a little inefficient taking him for a 1, but you get to dodge the reveal and you get away from candles. Like, you make candles much less likely to kill you. Okay, so I, again, think about this for a while. I think about playing Olog High first on this army, and then attacking Edoras, and then playing Grond. But I think I deemed it more likely that I would need Grond Olog High's backup on Woodland Realm. So the plan at this point is to attack Edoras, and then play Olog High on the Woodland Realm army, and then play Grond, and hopefully win the turn. Okay, so I'm attacking Edoras. He plays Shield Wall. Interesting that he plays Shield Wall here. And yet, if I roll 2 6s, which isn't that unlikely on 7 dice, then it would feel bad. So I get 1 hit, though, and he gets 1 hit back. So I press, and he thinks about it for a bit, and he stays, and I play no card. Yeah, because none of these are playable except Deadly Strife, and that would be kind of dumb. And he has 2 Brave Stands to whip out here. So this makes even more sense in hindsight, anyway, because those Brave Stands make a big difference at this point. So I get 1 hit, which I was bummed about. I was really hoping to get 2 and just finish this. And he gets 2 hits back. At first, we were confused. I was confused about why he rolled a second one for leadership, but he was remembering that Striders are kept into the West, so he's rolling 3 for combat, 1 for leader reroll. So it's very dicey stuff. It's 2 dice with 2 rerolls versus 2 dice with 1 reroll. So the odds are slightly in my favor, and of course I have 2 hit points to his 1. But of course, he has another Brave Stand in hand, but I don't know that. So he plays Brave Stand, and I get my hit, which is more likely. With the reroll, it's 5 out of 9 that I get the hit. It still feels lucky to get it. And he only gets 1 hit back. If he'd gotten 2, this army would be dead, and Edoras would not be conquered. But he only gets 1, so the Mouth of Sauron just barely, he just barely wins this slug fist fight with Strider here in Rohan. So now I have a chance of playing Grond and winning this turn. But what I did not calculate here that he did was that with this H and this Palantir, this army from Helm's Deep, because they're at war now, can come out from West Emnet and then attack me here in Edoras. So now I'm officially in not the best spot ever. And also he has these 2 guys that can walk in and retake Dale. So there's 2 things that I didn't notice that he did. So I play Olog High because I'd rather not lose the Mouth this turn. So he uses a ring to recapture Dale and guarantee that he doesn't lose this turn. And this army sets out from Minas Tirith to, I guess, help this army defeat Edoras and kill the Mouth, which makes sense. It does leave Minas Tirith a little bit vulnerable, but these armies are not knocking on Minas Tirith's doorstep yet. Okay, so I use a ring here to attack because I have 2 rings. The odds of it ending next turn is pretty good. So I attack Dale because, I'd rather not let him muster up and be a pain more, and I get to cycle character cards this way and hopefully, chuck a red tile in there. Okay, so I attack, and I use Cruel Weather Cycle, and I just roll 2 6s, of course. So. Okay, so he gets 1 hit back. At least I've got Dale back, and now there are no troops in Carrick. And now here comes Challenge of the... Oh, that's funny. That's kind of mockingly of Strider's passing. Now Challenge of the King shows up. That's brutal. So I pick up Foul Thing and Orcs Multiplying again. And from the redraw, I drew Lure of the Ring. So both of these are solid corruption cards anyway. So I'm happy to see those. So I allocate 1 eye, and I roll 2 more this time. So 3 eyes is actually a pretty... I was bummed to see eyes the last couple times, but I'm happy to see them this time because now if he moves and hits an eye, now corruption is worse. Then he'd be up to 9, or he could use Mithril and try to dodge it and maybe hit a red tile. That just feels awful. So yeah, so if he moves twice and hits 2 eyes, he dies. So that's great for me. Little do I know, of course, that there's another way to help heal anyway. So he moves and he hits the eye. So that's very good news for me. So he takes the 3 corruption and is revealed. And of course, I play Lure of the Ring here to stack another corruption on there. And he plays there as another way to hide, which I think makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Because, what do you call it? Using it to heal and hide now. Actually, no, wait. I guess, yeah. If he just hid normally, but was still at 10, and was planning to move later, then if I played Foul Thing and I drew a 3, then it would be lethal. But because he's done the healing now, he could still reveal, heal by 1, and to reduce the damage by 1 and still be alive. So I go ahead and play Foul Thing, and it's a 1 reveal. So he thinks for a bit about which way to do it, about whether to reveal or to take the corruption. Ends up taking the corruption, which it's a really tough choice because he doesn't have a ring. So if he reveals himself, actually I am out of cards to damage him. Like he's seen Breaking, Morgul, and Lure. I'll go by now. But at the same time, if he reveals now, he's out of rings, and he's already used theirs another way. So then he can hide this turn, but he can't try to win this turn, which gives me all these dice to try to get 2 more points. So anyway, so that's why he takes the 1 corruption. I draw a character card because, I'm kind of expecting him to... Actually, no, at this point, I'm realizing he's probably not going to move this turn because, if he moves, all these 3s kill him, and so do the eyes. So that's 5 out of 8 that are lethal. With Mithril Coat, then retry at 4 out of 8. Anyway, so essentially 50-50 odds. Slightly better, I guess, because you could get the 3 out of 8 on the first try anyway. Okay, so anyway, I draw Lidless Eye. I think he's also hoping to stall another turn and get Bilbo's Song or Athelas. Just a little bit of extra healing for next turn would make this a lot more comfortable. Or, of course, if I don't roll any other eyes next turn, that would help too. Yeah, so he's picking up character cards, which I think makes a lot of sense. I attack Woodland Realm, again, in the hopes of cycling here for a red tile, hopefully. So Words of Power does nothing just for the cycle. Challenge of the King misses. I get 1 hit. He gets 3 back. So that feels less than optimal. I don't press. I draw into Candles, which does have the... It could kill him right now. It would take 2 6s. But it's always, there's a part of your brain that just goes, ooga booga, I could win right now. Why don't we play it? And even though the odds are so small, you get tempted anyway. So he musters in West Stemnet, and I figured that, what, if I do it this way, I'm at least threatening to win this turn. Because I might be able to play Grond and blow up Woodland Realm this way. So I'm kind of making him spend that character on taking Edoras back, which he probably will. And he rolls 2 6s on 5 dice, so that feels a little bit rude. I get 2 hits back at least anyway, so that helps. He presses. I have to stay because I can't retreat, and he gets his 1 hit. And he gets 1 hit on the way out. So Rohan, despite not having a shadow unit in it or in any territory adjacent to it, only has 2 units from Rohan in all of it. So it's been a real bloodfest here in Edoras. So anyway, I'm thinking... So I go ahead and play Candles here, hoping to get 1/6 so that next turn, even if I don't roll any eyes, it's still lethal. And even if he heals 1, maybe the 3s are still lethal. And even the 2 is lethal then next turn. And I say, it'd be crazy if I rolled 2 6s, huh? And I just go ahead and roll 2 6s. So that's it. I just killed him with the Candles. Which is pretty crazy luck. Honestly, rolling 2 6s. But it's really fun for me because I've always wanted to win a game by playing Candles of Corpses, and I've never done it before. So it felt very, what do you call it? It's just very satisfying to have finally done it. And especially on a time when it wasn't so likely. I've had times where I needed 2 hits from Candles and there were companions in the Fellowship. So it's just 50-50. And I had a time where I just needed 1 hit against Gollum. So I just needed 1/6. So I think that's like 40% odds roughly of getting it. So getting it when it's super unlikely anyway. It's just, I thought it was a pretty epic end anyway. Crazy lucky, of course, but it's fun. And yeah, the shenanigans around Dale and Rohan, I thought were just really well played. Like he outplayed me on a couple of those. I didn't see the Dale recapture coming. So I hadn't realized that it was guaranteed that I couldn't win that turn. So I thought it was very well played on his part anyway. He mentions that, maybe separating Strider was a mistake, and I think maybe it was. I think I would have kept Strider just for the extra corruption protection and going faster, and in 2020 hindsight, might have been better off that way. But at the same time, if the strongholds had rolled over, maybe he would have found himself really wishing that he had separated Strider so he could play Deadman and try to retake Dol Amroth. So Anyway, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the end game I wanted to study with you guys briefly. Let's take a look at statistics. So I was -4 on 6s, but +7 on 5, so that is still useful. Pretty average dice rolls overall. A little plus on movement for him, and pretty average combat dice for him too. But yeah, I just thought it was a cool end game with also a pretty epic end with candles there. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.